Okay, I think, let me, okay, I think we're streaming now. Let me change this because I know that, I know it's been a while since I've streamed, and actually I did get a message from some people, um, hmm. Yeah, I was just looking at my messages, sorry. Okay, so I did get some messages from some people. By the way, you're probably just terribly bored with this desktop. What are we playing today is the question, and my label on my live stream is not updated, so let me update that in real time with you all watching. And we're gonna do Dwarf Fortress, and actually you might have been able to recognize that from the music in the background. I do have to test my audio because I do have this sound sense going. I know this is a little application. We're gonna go over all this as we go, and actually if you really knew, you could have just read it right there. But let me make sure my audio is okay. Stand by. Actually, if you really knew, you could have just read it right there. But okay, it sounds like my audio is okay, as you could probably tell by the hearing what I just said in a loop. Okay, so we're going to be playing Dwarf Fortress today. Dwarf Fortress is a game that's been around a long time. It's kind of an indie game, or sort of a less well-known or less mainstream game, I guess. Basically what it is, there are three modes. There's Dwarf Fortress mode, Adventure mode, and Legends mode. Now, I've already made a world, I guess, Enthador, which I think is the same name that I saw on another LP of this. But there are all these different modes. We're going to go ahead and just go into Fortress mode here. Now, we might do an adventure mode at some point, because I really am looking forward to trying that. That's more of an RPG style game, whereas the Fortress mode is more of a city builder slash simulation slash economic manager slash RTS kind of combined. So it's a really neat concept. Now, the main thing that a lot of people point out, if you haven't played before, is the fact that these graphics are very basic. Now, while this is loading, I'll just show you this. This is something called the Lazy Noob Pack. If you play this game, I highly recommend getting this. Just Google Lazy Noob Pack and you'll find it. And I'm using the Iron Hand 18 times graphics. I like these the best, although I do like the Obsidian and Phoebus as well. Right now what the game is doing is it's calculating a departure date for our expedition to go to our world here. And again, while that's loading, let me show you what I've got running. Now, I've got Dwarf Therapist running here. By the way, this game might crash on me. I've got it to save on start. And so sometimes, like 1 out of 5 or 6 tries, it does crash. If that happens, I'll just reload it. Pardon me for a second while I close out some things. Okay. So, pretty sure my cat just went to the bathroom, sorry. It's fine. So anyway, this is the Lazy Noob Pack. Now the Lazy Noob Pack has all these options here. And actually, I'm going to change this quite a bit, because we're gonna do something a little bit different here. Actually, you know what I should probably do? Tell you what, once I embark, I'm going to quit the game and reload it, because I'm not sure these take effect until you reload. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, let me just... we'll do the first part of this, and then I will stop the episode. I'll just create a new episode and we'll reload it with these settings. But I'm doing something a little different than a lot of playthroughs of this will do. We have this thing called population cap, and we have a strict population cap, and a child cap. Okay, so what these mean, and a visitor cap. Okay, so strict population cap is the absolute maximum number of residents you'll have in your fortress. We're going to be building a fortress if you haven't picked that up yet. And so most of the, in a standard game, most of these will be immigrants to your fortress, but you also have some children born. Now, right now, I've got the child cap set at 50:1000. What that means is that, and I can't quite remember, but I think one of them's like a percentage and the other one's like an absolute maximum. This is a pretty liberal, so I believe it's 50% of my fort may be children, which means up to 125 or 1000, whichever is lower or higher, perhaps. It doesn't matter. I basically turned off any consideration of there being too many children. Maybe that's a mistake. Absolute cap on babies and children. I guess 50 is the absolute cap, max percentage of children. Okay, so that means I do have a 50 child cap. So that's pretty generous, but it's still an imposition. That way, I know that I'll probably never have anywhere close to that many children at a time, but we'll see. Dwarves do live a little bit longer than humans. Population cap is 10. What this means is that I'm only going to ever have immigrants filling up my population up to 10. I'm going to change. I'm going to go 14. Still extremely conservative. The default there is 200. So basically the challenge that we're going to be imposing is very limited immigration. We're going to have an initial 7, and then we're going to have maybe 1 to 2 waves that fill us up to 14. And then from there I'd like to create our own population of children. Actually, I think I keep changing my mind a little bit about this. I'm going to allow it to go up to 18. That should create some genetic diversity. I don't want it to be all inbred. It should also get us most of the services we need. Now keep in mind there are certain hard limits where certain fortress services become available when you get a certain population. So it might be a while before we get that, but I think it's going to be fun to play this way. Not going to worry about any of this. Grace coefficient, that's pretty high. I guess it's standard, but okay. Okay, so that's our settings. Graphics, like I said. Utilities, I have 2 that I'm really going to be using a lot. There's some other ones that I don't really use that much. Dwarf Therapist is the big one. Legends Viewer sometimes. Sound Sense I'm using right now. You can hear it in the background a little bit. I'm going to turn that off because that's the background sound. That way, Sound Sense will always have priority. I could do that. Maybe at some point I'll turn that back on. Okay, so we're auto-saving on start and it's seasonal. This is an announcement for when I find damp stone. I definitely want that. And we do have DF hack enabled as well. And along with that, I'm going to do auto labor and a stone sense maybe. We do have multi-level view enabled. There's a few little things we do with DF hack, which is sort of the utility that goes along with the game. Okay, so enough of that boring stuff. Let's move on to the actual game. So this is the world that I've created. Now I have about 4 pre-existing fortresses. I want to go somewhere really exotic and, I don't know, maybe a little difficult. What is this? This is a terrifying, hot, freshwater marsh. So this world, it's represented in these little graphics. It looks a little weird, but take my word for it, it's really cool once we get into the game. If you haven't played before. I'm just kind of searching around here and seeing what's around. Okay, so this little thing down here is terrifying. And I kind of like that. But I like this river even more. It has shallow metals, deep metals, and aquifer, very deep soil, clay, and flux stone. There's a way you can actually filter locations in the game that have what you want in that regard, but I know what I want, and I think I actually would like a coastal area on this playthrough. Coastal areas can be kind of fun. All right, how about this? We have Untamed Wilds. It says there are no trees, however. Okay, there's trees in that one, but it is terrifying. I think I'm gonna go right about here. Now this is a somewhat dangerous place to embark. You know, actually, I would like to embark there, but I think it is too risky. I'm gonna go up one. You can move the position of your embark spot within the little region by pressing U, H, K, and M, which are sort of the equivalent of Y, A, S, W, but on the other side of the keyboard. I don't like the fact there's only one shallow metal, though, so I'm actually going to move on. How about down here? So looking at the screen, the little tab on the left there again, I'm moving the little place within the deal there. Oh, that one's even worse. Okay, let's try to just go somewhere else. And I don't quite remember where all I've built before. This is like a little island. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Shallow metals, deep metals, flux. Those are the three most important. There's sand on that one. Sparse trees. It would be a little bit barren. Untamed Wilds is pretty fun. Should we do this? The Plain of Mountains is what it's called. If I press tab on this, it shows that my nearest neighbors are dwarves. Really, anybody in the vicinity are going to be dwarves. You can select which civilization you want to be, and it will highlight where they're located. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not sold on this location, to be honest. We may come back there. Here's a really interesting little area. Okay, that would be fun. I'm going to tab again here. Okay, so this is Honest Hill. It's hot, woodland, moderate, wilderness. Okay, it's a pretty tame. What about down here? What's this about? So we do have an Untamed Wild region. It says it's Badlands with no trees. Alright. It says it's hot as well, but I'm okay with that. Trees, none. You know, that might be kind of interesting to do a no tree embark, or like minimal tree. Is this all Badland? That's ocean, it says. I'm tell you what, I'm gonna actually, you can resize your little cursor thing by going like this and doing capitals. So I've resized it now to just be 2, and the reason is I want to see what that is. Okay, that's tropical ocean. I want to be able to be more specific about what each of these little symbols on the map means, and specifically see if there's literally no trees on the particular tile. Selecting the embark spot is kind of important because it... Okay, that's a shrubland. Okay, so that could work. It basically determines a lot about your game. I usually do a 4x4. The default is 3x3, by the way. Untamed Wilds, hot, woodland, shrubland. Aquifer, clay, soil, sand, shallow metal, 1. Deep metals. Okay, so we get shallow metals if we go farther south, which means that little squiggly line has that in it. So I think, even though it says shallow metal, singular, I think if I go to the edge of the map, I'll get some other shallow metals. Shallow metals are not quite as important as deep metals, but still pretty important in my opinion. Fluxstone is the most important. Soil is relatively important. The trees are nice as well, but you could always make do without something. And a lot of players like to get the perfect location. I'm going to go ahead and select this area for mine. But I'm going to just take what I get. And I think it's better to play that way. Play with something interesting rather than like a absolute best possible thing. I'm going to use Gorney's Easy Peasy Start, which is a profile of initial starting dwarves. You can find other YouTube videos about how to embark in a customized way. The only thing is I have 11 remaining embark points that I want to spend because you don't really get to use them anywhere else. And I'm just going to go ahead and get some extra plaster because that's kind of hard to come by usually. And maybe a couple more sand. Okay, that's fine. And I'll go ahead and press E for embark. Now this is going to take a second. While that's loading, I guess,
What is this place? It's a mess.
at any rate,
There's not even any alcohol here. They told me that we ripped
I'm just
the
listening to this.
alcohol.
I don't know if you can even hear that.
I've been lied to.
Let me check my settings on sound sense real quick because let me see if that how that sounds. Yeah, that's, let me see if that okay, that's better. I was just testing my sound. Sorry about that. Okay, so what did I put it at? Like right about there. Okay. So this opened up when we started out here, and this is called Stone Sense. This is the isometric viewer. I usually play with it off the screen, if it's even on at all. I usually don't use it that much. This is still loading, or it's actually loading now. But while that's loading, Stone Sense got an initial impression. Right now the game is saving in the background. So we can kind of see a little bit about what's going on with Stone Sense while it's loading the two-dimensional view in the background as it saves. Saving is a little bit cumbersome because it has to like load every single piece of data that's developed since the last save. And there's so much data that happens in this game. There's a lot going on at any given time, and it's crazy. And that's one of the reasons it's so fun and such a compelling game. What I think I'll do for this episode is I'll just get started, and then after a certain amount of time, I'll quit this episode. We might do another one later or later this week. I would like to get back to Medieval Engineers. I've been neglecting that, and Secret of Mana Remake. Those are the only three that I'm really actively working on right now. I do need to go back to Terra Firmacraft as well, and I need to continue that. Actually, playing Dwarf Fortress lately has kind of inspired me to do a little bit more Terra Firmacrafting. But the main issue that we're going to run into right away in this game is the aquifer. Now, a lot of players play this game without aquifers on. But we're going to have to figure out how to get through the aquifer. And there's a couple ways to do it. We will have to problem solve that, troubleshoot it. As you can see, there's a bunch of tree stumps. It's only going to show one cross section, one layer of vertical space here. And this is a read only, so I can't do anything to cause it to affect the game at all. But once this loads in the background here, we'll be able to start looking at that. But you can also see little things like where my cursor is, there's a little bush. We could probably harvest some berries or something from that. Little pond or something down here. Other little plants, grassland. This tree is yellow, so that's kind of cool. Okay. And I need to close out of that, and I'm going to pause it. Press spacebar to pause. Now the user interface is a little clunky sometimes, people think, but now we didn't end up doing an evil biome, even though we looked at a couple. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press K. K is your look. I guess it's L-O-O-K is in there. It's the last letter, and L and O mean something else. So we do have this black sand beach here. So basically what this is, it's black sand, and then the next tile over, where my X is water. And actually it's an open space, so the water is actually down here. But we can view it from the layer above by pressing left arrow and right arrow, like shift, comma, shift period, if that makes sense. It's kind of one of those bracket buttons. That takes us down or up a Z level. So the top level here, actually the top level appears to be like right up here. So if we're like up above where we were just looking, and I start going down Z levels, the very top of the trees is this level here, and you can see more foliage come in as we go, and it's coming down the tree, if you can kind of picture it, and this is the ground. So each of those trees goes up and then out and then up a little bit more, and then it goes away. This is the top ground layer. Looks like there's a little plateau or cliff above the beach, basically, and then the beach. And so there's going to be a real question, you know, to what extent do we want to use the beach? Do we want to use it at all? Maybe we could, I mean, you could, and actually this is something different. Okay. So if I go down, sorry, yeah. So this is our little cliff that we started on. If I go down, first of all, we can see a few things here. We can see that it's fire clay that we're on here. So it's a fire clay with grass growing on it. Actually, I think it'll tell us that. It says dense Satan tail. That's talking about the plant life on top of the ground there. But this is the wall. So there's clay in the wall, which is, I guess, useful. We could make a pottery industry at some point. We do have this little bit of grassland here, down here. So if we did want to build down here, there would be some trees and stuff right there. I think these are going to be more tropical trees. It's hard to say. I don't have the tree species. It's a lime tree, so it sounds tropical. Lime tree sapling, carambola tree, and another lime tree. Okay, an olive tree as well. I'm not sure if I can harvest that. Okay, so that is this biome. This biome is defined by this red fire clay. But there's this other, clearly another biome here, and it basically goes like this. And it cuts over to here, and it creates this little southern area. And this is called clay loam. It's just regular clay, I guess. Or clay loam, whatever that is. These little arrows are ramps up and down, so there's a little clay plateau over here. And then if we go down one below that, we'll see little areas where the water is existing under the ground a little bit. And this is a black sand and clay loam. So materials that we've seen before. Same thing if we go over here. This is the little above ground pond that we saw in the stone sense earlier. And this is fire clay. It's also damp because it's adjacent to water. And we're going to have to deal with that. And like I said, there's a few ways to do that. But the best way to start figuring out some of these issues is to dig down and figure out what's going on. Before I do that, though, the first thing I'm going to do is designate we have 7 dwarves, and let me push you. We have a miner, a carpenter, a mason, a hunter, a farmer, an expedition leader, and a diagnoser. I also suspect that a lot of these dwarves have different roles above and beyond just that. So I'm going to pull up Dwarf Therapist. You can activate this on the Lazy Noob Pack starter pack thing that we started with. This thing. Just go to Utilities, click on Dwarf Therapist. Same with Sound Sense, by the way. You have to load in the sounds, you have to like download them, but once you get them, they're kind of nice. Okay, so these are our dwarves, with Rovad Sarolisak being the leader. And you can tell what they're currently assigned to in terms of labor or jobs that they're supposed to do. Then you can click on roles and you can see what they're supposedly predisposed to do. And this guy would be a good metal worker, for example, because he has really good, pretty good disposition at metalworking skills like blacksmith, armorsmith, weaponsmith. But the ones that are default assigned are pretty much the ones that we want anyway. Keep in mind, actually, you know what? They're not default assigned. I have auto labor on, I think. So what ended up happening there was they assigned the 2 miners And they got this carpenter who's also our woodcutter. We have a mason. We have a animal guy. We do have a farmer, which is really important. An herbalist. A brewer, a cooker. So this is our food guy, basically. And he's basically the jack of all trades, but he especially is our food guy. And at the beginning of the game, that's fine. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a little more customization. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to auto labor 0, which disables auto labor for the time being. If I were to change things on this, it would just change it back. Auto labor is an algorithm, and it's pretty handy when you get a few dwarves going, but in the early game, it's actually probably not so handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all this guy's labors. I'm actually going to clear that one. I'm going to clear everybody except for our miners. Okay, and this guy. Now, what this is doing over here is it's keeping track of everything that we've just changed. Now, this is a little technical, but what we really want is we want these two miners who literally have nothing to do with mine because there's so much mining at the beginning. We're going to have the carpenter, and I'll have him be a bowyer as well, but basically we really just want to keep him as the carpenter. I'm going to do wood burner and bone carver as well on him. Although we won't really need a lot of that. I'm going to do architecture. I'm going to do architecture on everybody but the miners. Because architecture is just you can build stuff. And it's nice to be able to build stuff right away. Okay, so Ravad has a really high mechanic skill. So I'm going to enable that because we are going to need a mechanic. I'll talk about some of these in more detail later. But trust me when I say that I need what I need. I'm going to have this guy actually be the woodcutter, not our carpenter. It's going to be a lot more efficient to do it that way. So he's going to be the woodcutter, and I'm going to make him a mason as well. Actually, no, we have a much better mason down there. Animal guy. And I don't know. This guy probably needs to be the cook. So I'm going to do brewing, cooking. I'll do butcher and tanner and leather worker. So basically he's going to be brewing and cooking and butchering. And I'll do miller, cheesemaker, and herbalist. And farmer. So he's the farmer. He's going to farm all this stuff and cook it up. This guy's doing animal stuff. I'm going to make him the leather worker who's better at it. Okay. So there's all that. And then this guy, what can he do? He can be the... he's going to be a hunter. And I'll make him good at animal stuff as well, because that makes sense for a hunter. Excuse me. Gelding is castration. Okay. That's fine for now. And I guess I'll also make him a milker and butcher. Okay, and then finally this guy. So we do have two miners. We have a carpenter, a bowyer, a wood cutter. We need a wood crafter. Is this guy? This guy can be the wood crafter. Okay, so I'm down here. This guy is definitely going to be the mason. And stone crafter. I guess engraver. Oh, I should make... This guy is really good at medical stuff, so I guess I'll put that on him too. It's not going to come into play early on necessarily, but if we do have an injury, he's going to be the guy that's going to treat it. I'll make this guy a cook as well. And I could do gem cutting, but I really don't need it. That should keep him busy. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so basically what we have is we have two miners, we have a carpenter, we have a wood cutter who also does a little bit with animals and leatherworking, and mechanic. We have the farmer guy who does most of the farming skills. We have the hunter guy who does some of the farming skills but more animal stuff. And we have this guy who's the mason, engraver, etc. Jack of all trades. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this in. You do commit changes over here to lock that in. Okay, so that's going to be a more efficient way to handle this. And now if I go like this and I exit out of this screen and I push the U button again, it's going to have those updated. Well, theoretically. I might need to run the game a little bit. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to designate some trees to chop down. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to push D. It defaults to tree chopping, but you can press T as well if you really want to make sure. Designate tree, D, T. That's the command. And I'm just going to do a little area. Press enter. I'm pressing shift and arrow to move this over 10 spots at a time. So I'm like a 30 by 30 area. I'm just going to cut all those trees. They turn gray or turn dark there. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, I'm going to build a workshop carpenter. B, W, C. B is the build command. W for workshop, C for carpenter's workshop. I'm just going to choose to build it out of logs for now. I'm also going to start digging. Now, this is what I'm going to call my probing staircase. This is not going to be the actual fortress yet. In light of that, I think I'd like to put it somewhere a little bit out of the way. So I'm going to press D and D, I thought it was a J actually, DJ for designate downward staircase. And I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to go down a Z level by pressing shift period. And here I'm going to DI, designate up down staircase. So you have to build an up staircase on the layer you're digging into, or you have to build, and, not or, but and, both, you have to build a downstairs staircase right above that if you want them to connect. So for each layer you have to build an up and a down staircase to connect it. It's kind of confusing. There are a lot of videos and charts on it. And I'm just going to go, and it's going to be a 3 by 3 for that. Now that's what that does if I do it one layer at a time. But I'm actually going to do several layers at a time. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, so I'm in the right position. Then I'm going to go a few Z levels down. And now you can see I've got this nice little staircase that they're going to dig out. Now what I'm looking for is that aquifer. I know that there's an aquifer in the region. And so my miners are going to immediately come over there. While all that's happening and my woodcutter begins to do his digging, I'm going to press P for stockpile. And I'm going to designate a refuse stockpile. And I'm going to make it 2 by 1. And then I'm going to press Y and do a corpse stockpile. I'm going to make it 1 by 1 by shift moving, like with the arrow, moving 10 at a time. So now we have a corpse stockpile up above and a refuse or garbagey kind of stockpile below. I'm also going to press I. I is important for putting in zones. I'm going to go do it in a big outside zone here around this lake. And we're going to call this several things. Now I could call it a garbage dump, I could call it a median area and all that stuff, but what we're really going to do is we're going to put 3 designations on this. First we're going to do W because there's a little lake here. We're going to make it a water source. F for fishing, so if anybody ever wants to fish, we're going to fish there. And we're going to press N for pen or pasture. I'm going to do shift N, or, you know, see how there's a capital N at the bottom there. It says set pen pasture information. And I'm going to put everybody in here except for my cats and dogs. There's a reason for that we'll get to later. I'm going to put all my poultry and stuff in here. I'm also going to put the yak, bull, and cow, which is great that I got a mating pair there. Usually kind of get luck of the draw with your animals that carry your wagon to your location. So with that, we now have an I, a water source, a fishing spot, and a pasture. I'm also going to do another one, I, and I forgot what I was doing. Hold on. What was I going to do over here? Oh, fruits. Okay. So I'm going to just I haven't done a lot with this in previous playthroughs, but I'm just going to go like this, and we're going to set that, and we're going to call this gather pick fruits, so G. And theoretically, the herbalist will go along. That's where he'll gather plants, some of which are going to be edible, some of which are not. Okay, now with all of that done, and you don't have to do this, this is just what I do at the start of every game I play. with all that done, we're going to let this run just a little bit. So I'm going to press space. And we'll see our miners coming over here. And as you can see, when they dig into that, it turns red, which is the color of the fire clay they're digging into. And some of the other dwarves, I mean, the guy is cutting down the trees there. You just saw that one fall over. So you can actually see a little space where the trees were. And that's this little space here. Okay. By the way, with these stockpiles, try not to worry about the fact that there are trees there. That will interrupt the stockpile from taking up that particular space, but it's no big deal. Okay, so some of my other dwarves are like moving animals around and whatnot. But let's take a look and see what we found down here. So first of all, I'm going to grab K, my look command. We do have fire clay on this first level, as we thought. We have red sand here, which is pretty cool to go along with the black sand. White sand, so that's yet another layer of sand. Loamy sand, which is like yellow regular sand. And then we have this rock layer, which is actually perplexing to me because I thought it would be an aquifer. Maybe the aquifer's down on this side of the map. That is worth checking out, but in the meantime, I did find this ore vein here. This is native gold. Now I can press Control V, and that'll show me where the vein is. That's the vein here. It's auto, this is called auto mining, and basically it's a DF hack function. What I could have done is I could have gone D, and I pressed D for mine, and then I could have gone like that, and I could have mined this one out here. And then once that one, I would have seen that that was gold, and that was gold. So I could have, indicated those spaces manually, and so forth until we mined out the whole vein. But I just went ahead and made a pre-programmed thing to go ahead and mine out the whole vein. Now I like to do veins at all times because veins are a great way to just sort of haphazardly look around. More important than the vein, though, is the fact that we need to continue going with our stairs, because I need to discover more before I'm certain there's no aquifer. So I'm going to go down another few layers. Oh, I did the wrong command there. So it's DI. Since that's a up-down staircase, it'll connect to this up-down staircase and so forth. So I just did 10 more layers there, and my dwarves will go ahead and mine that out. Not clear whether they're going to mine that up before that space there or not. Hell, I don't even know where they went. There they are. I'm not sure what they're doing. I guess they're helping move the animals and whatnot, because I did designate all my animals to go up to that pasture over here. We'll be doing a lot with animals later. What I'm curious about is whether they're going to try to dig this gold vein out or not. So what I might do is press DX, which says remove designation. And I'm just going to go like this. And create a little 4-tile blockade. So if they do decide to mine out the gold, they're only going to get a little bit before they're forced to mine the staircase. And I think that's going to be fine. And they're going for it now. Okay. While that's going, I'm going to do another exploratory staircase. DJ for downstairs. This one's only going to be a 2x2, but it's this other biome, and I'm very curious what's down here. So I'm going to start doing a downward, up-down staircase here as well. And eventually they'll go over there and take a look at that biome, which is going to have different minerals altogether than this biome. It's always a good idea, if you can, to enter a region with multiple biomes rather than just a single biome. It tends to allow more options in terms of mineral mining and other things. Apologize for the slight cough I have today. I've been a little bit under the weather. So while they're mining, I didn't get a message, did I? No, I did. Okay, so I've only had these 2 messages so far. You can press A and you'll see announcements. And it says I've discovered gold, zircon, and cobaltite. Those are each rock types or crystal types, and so they're pretty cool. Okay, I don't know why they just decided to tell me that the guy who was previously the expedition leader has become the expedition leader. If you get your dwarf therapist out, you can click... Oh, where are we? Here we go. Click read, and just refresh it, and then yeah, I've got the same guys and he's still the leader, so I don't know why that gave me a little announcement message. Sometimes that will be important, like maybe your previous leader died or something, so they elect a new one. The expedition leader is like a de facto leader, or, you know, governor, whatever you want to call it, of your fortress for the first bit. And actually for ours it might be a little while because we're not going to get that many immigrants given the population caps we've imposed. Population cap is sort of a self-imposed limitation to have a little bit more fun. I'm going to vein mine this little guy. Now that only was one tile, but it's a rough-hewn brown zircon cluster. That's a type of crystal. It's basically a low-value gemstone. Vein mine that by pressing Control V. And here's the cobaltite and orthoclase. I like this cobaltite. It's a fun rock to build with. It looks nice. So I might just do a little exploring on this level. I would say we might have lucked out and cast that aquifer, because they're usually right towards the top. What I'm doing here is I'm building a little fancy little area to kind of look around this staircase here. I'm leaving little columns in place. In the meantime, my other dwarf is looking at the stairs, and they're just going to keep going downwards. They're digging relatively slow here. Oh, wow, that did not take long. Okay, so one of the main things in the early game is discovering the cavern. And so what I'm going to do is pause for now. And what we have here, just kind of explain this. I was digging this staircase, and all I saw on the map was the staircase. Until we got here, because I intersected this open space here. And it is a cavern. So it's an underground cave, basically. And what I might want to do, for protection purposes, is I might want to build a wall. Can I do that? Yeah. I'm going to build an orthoclase wall here. Building a wall, you simply press B, Control, or a capital C, or Shift C, and then W, or Enter. And then you place it wherever, and it'll ask you what you want to build it out of. I just went with the nearest stone type, which was orthoclase. Orthoclase is the same as this yellow wall here, so it's going to look fine. I'm going to have to do a second wall as well. The reason I'm walling off the cavern is because caverns are notoriously dangerous. They're full of monsters and things, but they're also full of opportunity. This particular cavern has some gypsum, which is great. That's plaster. It has some shale, phyllite, mica, opal, rock crystal, and cobaltite. Is this also phyllite? Okay. So we don't quite have our fluxstone or anything like that. We also have this red tourmaline, which is a relatively low-level gemstone as well. But we're going to be able to see more and more of this cavern as we go. Caverns are usually pretty cool because they often... And I'm just going down the cavern, so you kind of see this cavern open up as we get a little bit towards the bottom. They often have cool rocks that you can have a lot better access to. For example, here's galena, which has silver and lead in it. It might be a little tricky to get some of these because they're in little columns. So what we might want to do is get over to the top of these columns and just mine them out completely or something like that if they have a good ore in it. And then this is sphalerite, right? Or cassiterite, so that's good for bronze. Cassiterite mixes with copper. So tetrahedrite is copper, cassiterite is tin. That would create a bronze industry for me. This layer alone right there would, which is great. Let's see here. This is crystal. By the way, these metals are also like prominently featured in Terra Firma Craft. So if you have any experience playing TFC, you'll know a lot of this to begin with. This is more gold over here, some more crystals, some more tetrahedrite, some more cassiterite. It runs in these cute little veins. This is a deep cavern. I'm just skipping ahead. I did see, is this olivine? Yeah, olivine, which is like a green colored crystalline rock type that's not valuable at all, but it looks nice. So that'll be fun. I'll have to harvest some of that. And we are just getting more and more revealed as we continue to dig near this cavern. But it is so flippin' deep. Basically what the game does is it calculates a long distance optics range. And that goes vertically as well as horizontally. Let me see what this is. That is malachite, which is another type of copper. That's great. So we may be stuck with bronze in this area. I'm not seeing any iron iron-bearing stone. So that might be one of our limitations. We have to use bronze and not iron. Bronze is okay. I'm not even seeing the bottom of this cavern, although I do see a sign of what might be the bottom. So we're down to granite down here. And right here I see this. This is going to be a tower cap leaf. And yes, there is a lake way at the bottom. You can barely even see it. It's at that level there. I guess it's at that level. So that is level, as you can see up here in the upper right hand corner, 171. If I go up all the way to where I was, we're at level 9. And so we're like 60 layers above that or something. But hey, guess what? No aquifer, so that's good news. Okay, I'm actually going to build a floor here. And then I'll build the wall there and I'll wall it off. Probably fighting a losing battle trying to wall this whole thing off, but whatever. I'll collect that. Okay, and also wall this one off eventually. You get really good at these commands as you play more. Is that mica? I try to match these walls with their surrounding rock type. That is mica, so I'll build a mica wall there. And we'll do a floor here, and the other wall will go on that side. And I'll just do this, one floor there, one floor here. Floors are kind of little extended platforms you can use. I'll start the wall there. And it looks like that is the end of my staircase, so I'm actually going to have to... Can I designate up staircase? And no. What I have to do is I have to build an upstair, which is U. So it's B, capital C, U for upstair. I'm just going to make this an upstair. Oops. Using U and K, I'm expanding that to a 3. Oh, why can't I do that? Is it because there's a wall there? Yeah, I'll just do it down here. That way there's no temptation to go down further. And let's just do... I'll just do wooden stairs, olive stairs. And what we can do is, I know that down below there's going to be this gap. So what I want to do is probably move over to this dark area. So easy way to do that is just go like this. And then I can continue my staircase here if I want, and actually I could do J. Unless I have any plans on going up. I can always change that later. But J is down. And so if I do DI down here, I can go like this. And yeah, this is going to get me pretty far down. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll let my dwarves continue to work, but the good news is we don't have any aquifer up here. You can press F1 to return to the surface at any time. Now up in my upper right hand corner we do have a little problem. I do have some idlers, and so that basically just means people without anything to do. So what we want to start thinking about now that we know that there's no aquifer right where I dug down is how do we advance our fort and get people busy. So this layer is fire clay, red sand, white sand, yellow sand. And this layer is rock. Diorite. So I'm going to go ahead and resume digging the gold because we will start using that right away. Actually, it might not be a bad idea to start building. What I like to do, and I saw this on one of Quill18's videos, he's a great YouTuber. I like to build things in an organic and somewhat unplanned, somewhat chaotic fashion. I don't like to build orthodox things, symmetrical things, even though I'm cleaning up my little hallways from the veins right now. But what I'm basically doing is I'm widening the hallways so this can be like a hallway that's actually functional for some purpose. Now, usually what people do, and what I've done in the past, is you build a bunch of little dwarf homes, and you build some industries, and then you have your dwarves go to the industries for work, and then they come home at night to these little homes. What I thought I might do this time is do it a little differently. I might do a little bit of that initially, but I think what I would like to do ultimately is a slightly different model. So I'll show you what I mean, and I'll do it here. Let's find a level that's going to be kind of our main level. Probably don't want to do it too deep, but let's say it's this level, which is right above where that cavern starts, which I think is probably a pretty good level for it. Well, let's create a main street kind of thing here. And you know what I can do now is I can do something like this. So, well, actually I'm going to let this get mined out because I would like it to be uneven. But I'm going to kind of let these little arms play out. And then if I come across a vein, I will simply dig it. And we will start building our main street here, or our main, you know, level, if you will. Basically what I'm gonna do is start building industries with their guy's house attached to their industry. Now that is not a perfect way to do this. There are flaws with that method, but I've never used it before and I thought it'd be really interesting to try this time. In the meantime, I'm going to build a general purpose floor here. I'm going to start building stuff in it. So I'm going to do this. I like to keep things as close to the staircase as possible. So I try not to expand too far from the main staircase when I don't have to. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. I'd have no security in place whatsoever. I have an idea for that though. The best thing, okay, what you really want to do is you don't want to have a staircase going straight down because that creates too much easy access for enemies. So what I'd recommend is going like this. I'm going to do DJ, and I'm going to go over here. Actually, let's go farther. Okay. I'm going to chop down that tree, and we'll do another staircase there. And then what I'll do is I will do well, I'll come back to that. I'm also going to do DH. Now, this is going to create what we call a channel. I'm going to put the channel right here. Just kind of making this up as I go. Alright, so that channel, what that's going to do is it's going to dig out these 3 tiles, and I'll end up down here on this one. And then I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go down 1 and do that. Go down 1 more and do that. And down 1 more and do Which direction was it? Yeah, that. Then I'm gonna go like this. And we're gonna go like that. And we're gonna go like this. And actually, no, I can't do that. Let's go the other way. Yeah, that'll work. And then we're gonna go like that. And that. And finally, that. What I've done here is I've created a ramp down to the same level with no stairs. And I created a 5x5 room at the end of the ramp. This is for our trading post. I think I will connect it up to this as well. Okay, and I have to decide exactly what I want to do with some of this other stuff. But I'm going to create a little room there as well. And I think I might do something like this. Okay, so as you can see, there's like a hallway and it twists and goes over here. And then what will happen is this will create an up ramp there. And that'll go over to here. This is going to be our defense layer. I create a little long winding road so that if I can put some defensive fortifications up along here in case somebody tries to invade. And then it just goes right to there. Now this staircase, maybe I shouldn't do the staircase at all. Maybe I should just have a little single opening. Let's try it that way. So I'm going to get rid of that staircase, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a floor over this one. Now it's going to take a little while to build the floor, so I'm not too worried about trapping anybody in there. I'm going to use these guava wood, which is kind of a cool plant. This is like a tropical area, isn't it? So build capital C F for floor to do that. Basically that's just going to block off that entrance. I'm going to designate downstairs only. Or I guess I'll have to build downstairs. Oh, you know what? Hold on, I did it wrong. Designate downstairs. There we go. So what that does is it removes the ability for people to access between these two layers with stairs. And then what we'll do is we'll dig up like this. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a farm system here. So what I'm going to do, let's try it this way. Okay. You don't want to get into this water because that's going to flood your fortress. So you just be careful with that. Also, I'm going to be very careful not to interrupt our ramp. So I'm going to dig this little protective ring around it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. And actually that's going to work out perfectly. Because now this has a little bit more substance. Okay. And then our farms are going to start out in here. So I'm just kind of thinking about this out loud. But one, two, and the farm. So if I did that, I'm just kind of basing this on how I usually plan things. Okay. And I'm going to do another spot here for farms. I'm building the farms on this clay level. This is fire clay. This will work fine. You could also theoretically build a farm on a red sand, white sand, or loamy sand especially. But there are some types of sand that apparently don't work, so I'm just better to do it on the clay. We will also be using the clay level for gathering clay at some point. Not sure when. And I'm just connecting these up real quick. I'm also going to put a massive stockpile for food right here. I'm going to go ahead and do something like that. It's going to take a while for these to get dug out, unfortunately. And in addition to that stockpile, I'm going to need some workshops for my farms as well. So I'm going to mirror this one here and create this. Okay, so that's a nice symmetrical farm area. And it's going to take forever to dig that out because there's so much of it, but it's going to be pretty effective. I'm also going to do little animal pens down here to decide how big I want them. Maybe 8 by 8. So I'll just put the idea in here. Could make them a little bit bigger, that way I can make this work out. So I'm gonna make them 9 by 9. Okay, so then now they're even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll leave it at that. There'll be many more animal pens aside from those two, but those are what I'm going to start with. One for my chicken, one for my turkeys. Okay, so we are unpaused and theoretically digging. Now this little staircase has got to stay intact, so I'm going to leave that there. What I'm going to do is basically, people are going to enter my fort right here. They're going to come down that little thing, and this is the only entrance. It's a little bit of a... You know what I'm going to do? That will be my permanent entrance, but I am going to, for now, leave one of these open. This one. And coming back down here, I'm going to cancel the designation here, so that is still going to be an up-down staircase. Now we have very restricted access with the staircase, but it is still access, and that's going to speed up a lot of people going from deeper levels who don't want to go through the little windy maze thing that I made there. Okay, so how are my guys doing down here? I think they're digging out this, yeah, they're digging out this level. So we do have cobaltite, and we do, it looks like maybe, is that marble? Phyllite. Okay, that's just bright white phyllite. So we have a couple of options in terms... Miners do increase in speed over time as they get more skilled. Marcelo Fernandez says, sad face. Not sure what that means, but thank you for commenting. Perhaps you're sad that I'm not playing a different game or something. And that was roughly 8 or 9 minutes ago, so I'm so bad at keeping up with chat. But thanks for stopping by. What we're going to do is... Oh, I need to... I forgot to change one of my settings there on my live stream menu. But the guys are just digging out anyway, so it's not a whole lot to see, really. What I'm going to do eventually here is probably dig out those cobaltite veins. What you get is these cobaltite generates in veins. The orthoclase, which is kind of nice, that yellow, is useful, generates in clusters, or not even clusters, but large ovular veins. So these are skinny little veins, I'll show you. Whereas this orthoclase is this whole middle circular area. But see, if I dig out these little guys, I create almost like a little symbol in the background. It almost looks like a hammer and a sickle, or some sort of banner or standard or something. And that is going to allow me to do some things in this layer with housing and whatnot. Unfortunately, it's just going to take forever to dig. So while they're digging, let's do some other stuff. We have 5 idlers, and that is unacceptable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the carpenter shop. Now, I built this early on. I'm going to press Q, Q stands for interact with building or something, set building tasks. I'm not sure why. Oh, it's task. I get, well, yeah, I don't know why it's Q. Anyway, we're going to press A, add new task. We're going to build a bunch of beds. That's a really good thing to build right away. So I'm going to go A, B, 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 A, B. And I'll just do 10 beds. And we'll leave it at that for now. In the meantime, I think what I want to do, start thinking about what industries are going to go where. I've got my farming ready to go. And I might want to do a little sand collection on this one. So I'll build a little pit for sand collection. I'll explain that later. And then maybe this one is where I should build the mason shop. So eventually maybe I'll build a mason in here. In fact, I can start planning it out. So this, well, I have mixed feelings about doing this, but I'm going to just kind of go for it. So this is going to be the mason shop. And yeah. I have to kind of keep a little opening there, don't I? But that'll fit. And actually I'll have the ability to, yep, that'll be fine there. Actually, that'll be a perfect little opening. And then what I was thinking is, why don't I just do... And I'm just going to kind of do little hallway expansion project here. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of all of this stone there. So this is going to be the mason's shop. And I'm going to do something very similar on... not so much that layer, but probably that layer, this layer here, with various industries. In fact, I might make some generic industries that are not designed that way on this level. But up here, I'm going to design this. So, and you can, by the way, you don't have to actually dig everything. You can also press, oh, what's it called? Planning mode. Let me see if I can find this here. No, that's stockpiles. Is it D? No, gather plants. Yeah, there's a way to do that. I just don't know how to do it. I can't remember how to do it. There's a way to do, like, I want to dig here, but I'm not going to assign digging here until the miner is, you know, free or whatever. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding a little bedroom or something to this guy's shop. Now what I was thinking would be really cool was what if I did multi-layer? So what if he had a little staircase here? So this is his actual shop. What actually maybe this is the living room. And what if he had a little staircase D upstairs, like right back here, and DJ downstairs, and we give him a little bedroom here. I think that'd be really cool. I've never seen anybody do a fort quite like that, but I think I like the idea of utilizing multiple levels of the fortress. I could do a similar thing kind of here. Where I've got so I'm just basically digging out non-adjacent tiles for this main room, and this little shop can be right here, you know. And I can put that there, and I can put a D upstairs can be here. Yeah. And then I can go like this. That's the antechamber, and then the little bedroom for this dwarf is here. So that's really cool. I'm gonna let that dig out, of course. It's gonna be a while because it takes them a while to dig through stone, especially when they don't have a lot of experience. How are we doing down here? Did any of these get built? I gotta check and make sure I've got construction turned on because those should be built by now. And we have idlers, so it might be an issue with labor. Since I turned off auto labor, architect, it might be the mason who has to build those stone walls, so maybe I should add another mason. We don't have a farm industry set up anyway yet, so I'll just add him. And then carpenter has to design the wood floors. But I think that'll be fine. Okay. Oh, and stone since well, I deactivated it somehow, but here's what you can do. You can just get back into your main game, and then get this little guy out and click on Stone Sense, wherever it is. Here it is. Or I guess you have to type it in on DFHack. Okay. So it's is it just type in Stone Sense? Yeah, here we go. All right, this is gonna render. I don't know why it's not. There's a whole set of controls that I just don't have memorized for Stone Sense, so I'm not sure why it's just blank. But, you know, we can look at that later. Probably only going to go another, 15 minutes or so here. And we'll do another episode later after my guys have got this all dug out. But let's try to continue to find ways to make our idlers less idle. Oh, they actually dug the little ramp finally. So as you can see what happened there. Oh, this worked out perfectly. There's a little space where they come down on these three, and then they go down to the next level on these upper three. Same here, and then boom. Okay, so they're actually digging out the little tunnel now. That's great. And they dig the sand and stuff so much faster, and actually it's a great way for them to get experience, because if you look at the labors tab in Dwarf Therapist, you'll see these little numbers. They go up to, I think, 20, so these guys are like, that's 25%, that's 20% of max skill. Alright, we did have a dig canceled because of dampness. That is something that I was worried about. So I pressed A to get to this menu, found the little message I was looking at, and pressed Z. And where are we getting the damp stone? Okay, this might be an issue. Okay, so we may have to... you know what? I have an idea. I'm concerned, though, that if that is damp, is it going to be damp straight down that line there? Is that where the aquifer begins and I just got lucky and dug on the other side of it? Perhaps. Or is it... Sometimes there's little underground lakes that are not aquifers, but I think that's an aquifer. I think that's an aquifer that got cut off by a biome change between those two locations there. So I think what I want to do... The easiest way to deal with this is why Dwarf Fortress is fun, is like dealing with little problems like this. I'm going to go like this. And I'm just going to go like that. And I'm going to attempt to dig at it from the other side. Now, what might happen, if my theory is correct, is when they get to about here, they're going to get another damp stone notification, and this whole area is going to be inaccessible, which is fine. We'll have to check and see if it's inaccessible on this side as well. But if I can just get down to there, I might just do it the layer below that. And that's not a problem. So we'll troubleshoot that as we go. In the meantime, let's work on our farm a little bit. So what I almost always do initially is I designate what I like to do, but I try to switch it up. This is going to be the main underground farm, but then this one's going to be a man-made above-ground farm with a roof on it, basically. So it's going to be inaccessible to enemies and stuff, but it's going to be accessible to the sunlight through a mechanic in the game, and therefore we're going to go ahead and make that this. So what we need to do is we need to get our designate H for channel, and we need to remember this one. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to build these little channels. Where the farm plots are going to be eventually. And I'm going to go ahead and designate them now, so that way if they do happen to get mined out, they'll be in really good shape. I'm intentionally not designating this last little guy because that would create a cave-in, and we want to hold off on that. We're getting some activity here. If you ever want to know what's going on, you can always like press U and go over to others, and you can often see if there's like a particular animal. And it looks like there is. It looks like it's this thing here. It's a giant osprey. I'm using the K command now. It looks like a splattering of giant osprey blood plus vomit. By pressing enter, I can look at it, and it says his lower body is cut open. His lower body is bruised, upper body cut open, upper body dented, left wing cut open, etc. Guts bruised. They have like every little body part covered in this. So this is a large monster in the form of an osprey. Ill-defined muscles, but it is large overall. Feathers, brown skin, small scar. Okay. So what that tells me is, what's going on here is this guy down here. This is going to be my hunter, I bet. If I press U again, I can Vukar. And you can actually find him and press Z on the U screen here. And then you get more information about him than you would from the K screen. So he's our hunter, as you can see there at the top. And he has no equipment, ostensibly. Or actually, I'm sorry, this is the wound menu, isn't it? Yeah, that's the wound menu. So he's none of his body parts are having issues because they're all white. I guess his right foot is a little drowsy, so he's a little tired on his feet, but no big deal. Now I can press G and see his general status, I guess. His current job at the top is hunt. And then it has his various skill levels. Adequate marks dwarf, which is the main skill for hunting. I can press C to include or not include combat for a labor skill. And same with B, labor. I can kind of basically segregate the different roles that he can play. I can press enter to view job. He is currently a hunter. Let's see, I can go to I and see his inventory. So he has pigtail trousers. I guess it's a female. Sorry. It's the easiest way to tell that is on Dwarf Therapist. I'm sure it also says in-game, but so our hunter is this one, Vukar, and actually it's a male. Okay. Yeah, he felt sad. Okay. So, despite being a male, he has a dress on, a cloak, all that equipment there, mittens and gloves and whatnot. All cloth, though. He does have a copper crossbow, which is nice. And oops, let's go back to him, him, and you can press P, and you can do some other stuff there. Although it's easier to do a lot of that stuff in other menus that I'm going to go over in future episodes. You can press W to see if he's wounded. Press Z to look at his general status. This is what you get if you went to the K menu, by the way. And you can check out his relationships by pressing R. So he worships that god at the top there, Zalis. Friends with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which are other dwarves. So they're all friends, which is nice. You can press Y to customize. You can change his name there, or you can call his profession something. And you can press enter to see his thoughts and impressions. So it's going to give you a little bit of initial description. It has a little quote at the top. They're all in this format, and it says terrified while in conflict, satisfied because he improved his ambush skills, which is great. Euphoric due to inebriation. Didn't feel anything after talking to a friend. Was annoyed after having a drink without using a goblet. Faithful worship worshipper of Zalus. 57, so relatively young for a dwarf. A little physical description. Nose is narrow. His hair is saffron. He is tough. Likes mica, gold, marine. He's going to love our fortress eventually. Likes alpacas for their resemblance to a miniature llama. Alligator men for the strength and the sound of the verse of aquamarine. When possible, he prefers to consume hagfish, prickleberries, and teff beer. Doesn't like mussels. Great musical sense. You can just read through this. It's so detailed. They do this for every single character in the game. It's amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to let you read that if you want, but pause the video and read it if you want, but I'm just going to move on. You can see some really good information here later. I mean, when other things come into play, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so I'm going to press escape and escape there, and I think that's basically it. Yeah, you can press F to follow him, I guess, but he is beating up this osprey, and believe me, he is winning right now. And you saw that little thing go across the room? That was a bolt from his copper crossbow. Got him again there. Now let's check this. I don't remember exactly what the last status was. His left lung is fractured now, so that looks like I got him in the lung, maybe. Yeah, and kidney is something or other. So, and now he's going in for close quarters combat. Problem with that is, you know, he might get wounded himself. But he's really doing a number on him. And that's going to be enough to kill him. Okay, and he ran out of ammunition there, by the way. You can see that down here. So he ran out of ammo. Now, you can sometimes reclaim ammo if you go D and then B for... what does B stand for? Set building item properties. Hold on. Sorry, my hair was getting annoying there. So B for item properties, then you can press C, reclaim, and you can kind of go over where your crossbow bolts were, and you can just make a little box. You can't see it, but that'll reclaim at least 2 of them, I see. And now, actually, if you look at the bottom there, there's the F for forbid, D dump, M melt. If I did F, it would forbid it, so let's do that. F is... Now I can't pick it up, but F again for claim. So people are designated to claim these items and take them back to camp. Now that is broken. These little guys are broken bolts, and you cannot reclaim them. But this one I can. That's just one though. And there's another one there that I'm going to get. So I'm going to get 2 copper bolts out of that, which is good because it allows my hunter dwarf to continue to be armed, I guess. But it's also dissatisfying because it's only 2 bolts. So to remedy this, we're going to go like this. We're going to go build workshop R for craft dwarf's workshop. I'm just going to put it right over here for now. We're going to eventually move all these downstairs, but let's put it right here for now. We'll just use one of these nearby log sources. And I'll let that go ahead and build. In the meantime, I noticed that we have a damp stone issue on this level. And where was it? I don't know where it was. Yeah, it's definitely not. They're both on this level now. I wonder if they didn't, I don't know. I can't tell where the damp stone would have been. Maybe it was on the staircase somewhere. It's just there. Those are the only 4 that are registering as damp, so I don't know what it was. We'll have to see. Also, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, since we're not going to actually get to experience phase 1 of this game because I found the cavern so quickly. When we found the cavern, we exposed it to the air of the cavern, which contains fungus and such from way down here. Way down below. These trees and water, and believe me, if we could actually see the land down there, it would have little cave moss and fungus and such. So what's going to happen is anytime we have a level, such as this one, that has sand or dirt or mud or clay, it's going to start to grow fungus or moss. And that's okay. That's actually a good thing in a lot of ways. And I'm definitely not going to worry about it, but just so you know what that is, that's what that is. Normally, when we dig to these layers, they're all, you know, homogeneously yellow, but we're going to start seeing little patches of different colors. So this one would be homogeneously gray, this one would be orange, this one would be salmon. Okay, so while we're waiting, we are waiting for our guys to dig this out. Let me go ahead and just... We'll get the rest of this gold later. So I'm going to go ahead and just disable the range of digging. What I'd like to do to finish up this episode today is probably go ahead and get our farms started. Which means I'm going to have to get these guys to finish up what they're doing here. Going to go ahead and dig out those crystals. I almost always dig out crystals. Sometimes I will leave crystals or gold. Actually, you know what? I'll show you what you can do. So I'm going to remove this designation. Couple ways to work with this here. First of all, I just dug the crystal wall that was making this guy's wall what it was. So easy method to replace that wall is just build a new wall. B, capital C, W for the command. And we're going to use the nearest stone, which is the diorite wall that we were just cutting through over in this level. So that's going to have my dwarves build a couple walls there. My miner won't get stuck because he's going to mine his way out anyway, but probably won't get it done by then anyway. The other thing you can do, and this is going to blend in with the walls, you can do DS, smooth stone. And you can designate little areas of stone that you want your dwarves to make look pretty by smoothing them out. Okay, by the way, we did get up to that level. Okay, so we do have one guy smoothing the stone, which is one of our dwarves, so we did get rid of one idler by doing that. And you almost always want to be smoothing stone. And you can smooth the floor as well, so... Alright. And what that's going to do in this particular case is it's going to cause that gold to be incorporated into the value of the room. Now that becomes an issue later in the game. This, by the way, this is I'm all over the place with information. This is not a tutorial series per se. I do explain things as I go, but I am not doing it in an order that makes a lot of sense because I'm just doing it as I encounter it in the game rather than in some sort of planned way. So what this guy has done here is he has smoothed over this gold, which is great for the value of this room, as well as this red zircon cluster, which is also great for the value of the room. So, bravo. Okay, and I can also do the BWM for Mason Workshop. Just gonna put it, I can put it right there. That way there's a little entryway. I think that makes the most sense. So go ahead and make it out of diorite. We have stone to work with finally. Coming back up here. Boy, they're just getting some interesting colors. The reason these are turning colors is not because of water, it's cave moss. And fungus. There's a moss and a fungus on that level alone. And you're starting to see some of that there. What is that blue thing? That is... You can always press K to look. It's dimple cups. So that's cool, because that's going to be one of our farm, materials in a bit. So while they're working away down there, let's check out our carpenter, see how he's doing. He's finished his beds, great. So we're going to do AT for table, AT for table, AC for chair, AC for chair, AH for chest, AH for chest. And then what we need to do is we're going to do a wheelbarrow, a minecart, a minecart. Okay, so we're just making a bunch of random stuff. We'll explain what we use it for later. I think I'm going to go until the first migration wave, and then I will call it a game for now, or an episode. And that should be coming, relatively soon. Alright, so these guys are continuing to find stuff down here. And these are gems, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. Yeah, I just don't know why these walls aren't building. Waiting for construction. Why don't we have construction? We do. Construction is the same as architecture. Maybe it's... Oh, you know what? I think it's this. Okay. So when I had auto labor on, the game kind of screwed up my guys because they had so few workers that it just assigned a very desperate set of priorities to everybody. My 1 and 3 guys are my miners, and generally speaking, you want to avoid giving them too many labors. So, yeah, this is stupid. 1 and 3. I need to make 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 the main guys here. So, what I'm gonna do... Alright, I'm gonna just do... Yeah, literally nobody was on construction. Architecture is like advanced construction. So think of it this way. The architect has to usually design the initial building, and then anybody can do the time-consuming grunt work to construct it later. So what we're doing is we're turning on these mundane labors, you might call them. I'm going to turn off a lot of them for the miners, because we actually do want to avoid having the miners get bogged down with these tasks. But it's amazing that the auto labor had 0 I will keep them on levers, 0 construction people, which is why my other stuff wasn't getting built. Okay, so I will do that with the number 2 guy here. And let me just go over these briefly. So we have animal hauling, means they put animals in pens. Burial, they'll move dead bodies to caskets and help them get buried. Food hauling is moving food. Usually I think it means 2 other dwarves. Maybe a prisoner, maybe a injured dwarf, something like that. Furniture hauling, move furniture in place or out of place. Item hauling, move things like blocks and things like that. Vehicles, so like mine carts and stuff, we'll deal with that later. Refuse, putting garbage away. Stone hauling is a specific cutaway from item hauling. So item hauling would be non-furniture, non-stone, non-wood items such as, I don't know, metal bars or something. Trade good hauling, it's like finished items. Water hauling, cleaning, construction, deconstruction, road building. These are all self-explanatory. So I'm going to go commit to those changes, and now what we'll see is we'll see these construction projects finally come to life, including the ones down by the cavern, which I'm now somewhat distressed we didn't notice earlier that those weren't happening, because that could have been really bad. Meaning, some, you know, an enemy could have flown up here. Let's say there's a giant harpy down in the cave, so they could have flown up and gotten right into my base. So definitely want to work on that. Fortunately, the game is relatively merciful to you in the first few months. And by the way, we are on 12.14.576. And you can kind of look through here and see if there's many updates about the weather. You can also press, is it F or M or C? C. Okay, so you can look up where you are. I'm on the Fortress of Slingfires. I'm of the Maroon Arch civilization. And I can press N for news and rumors. Oops. Press C for civilizations. I don't know. There is a way to look up your date. I'm just looking through the list here. Yeah, I don't know. There's a way to do it. I mean, it's right at the top. 12/14. I just don't know what that means. I don't know if that's the 12th month, the 14th day, so I guess it's December. I mean, I do think they roughly correlate to Earth calendars. They just call them something different. Oh. Okay, so we did get the same damp stone warning. So what that means is I'm just going to have to axe this. You don't want to screw around with damp stone. It will flood your fortress, and that's a disaster when that happens. So what I will do is I will build that so it's pretty clear that I can't go any farther. And I'll do that as well. And I'm just making a little area where I can get sand, basically. Okay. And this is going to be connected to this anyway. Okay, that should be good. So when that goes on, what we have now, to kind of picture this, is we have this ramp. I'm going to put my cursor here. And it goes down, 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 down to here. And now we're stuck here. And what we need to do is we need to get down to there. So the best thing to do here is to simply do this. And I think probably here. So I'll do D, H. And actually, sorry, D, H. I had it on K still. I'm going to not build this part here. I think that's probably the way to go. What I could do something like this and create a little sand. Is this sandstone? No, it's just sand wall. It's not quite hard enough to be sandstone. If it was sandstone, I'd get rocks out of it. Some of the pyramids were built with sandstone, by the way. So sandstone is not as soft as people think. And then I could build a little room here if I wanted to. Sure, why not? No idea what it's going to be. But I'll do it. Because I'm crazy like that. Might as well use the space. Alright, so when that goes down, let's finish this thought. Comes right to here. So there's going to be a little place down there. And we'll just go like that. Now, in theory, this is a stone layer with no aquifer, which means that it will be dry. But it is possible that the biome change will cause an aquifer to be on that level as well. If that's the case, we will soon find out. And we will have to be real careful with this level to kind of stop our construction in its tracks. Okay, so we're making good progress. Now, there are ways you can deal with the little leftovers from mining. Keep in mind here we have, and I should have explained this earlier, we have gold nuggets we got from that gold vein, this gold vein, which I'll reactivate, by the way. And we got diorite, which are these little guys here. And we got some gems. This is a rough pyrite. Is pyrite fool's gold? I can't quite remember. Anyway. So, the engraver is doing a really good job with this bedroom. Now, one way to deal with this little stuff, I'm going to show you two ways. Let's start out with the garbage dump method. So you can press I and designate a little area like this. And you press G and it's garbage. I'm sorry, D, dump. Okay, so this little area here, that little symbol, is the area, and that's going to be our garbage dump. Now, garbage dump doesn't mean garbage in the sense of refuse, in the sense of dead bodies and body parts and rotten food and things like that. What it means is items that you've specifically told the game you'd like to have not be there. So what we can do is we can go DB, and you can say dump items. So what we can do is D, and I can go like this. Okay? So if I go DB and D, it's going to show those two items now are pink, meaning they've been selected. Okay? And what's going to happen is some dwarf is going to come along and just move those into the little garbage dump. And the nice thing about garbage dumps is they take up no space, or they don't have to. You can store multiple objects on the same tile, and that's one of the several ways to do what we call a quantum stockpile, which means multiple objects taking up the same space, essentially. That got suspended for some reason, so I'm going to okay, so if you see a construction like this and it hasn't been completed, this one says it had been suspended, and I just press S to toggle that back off. Sometimes dwarves get confused when they're building, so... And I heard something upstairs. Probably need to go upstairs and finish what I was doing with the hunter at some point. Press B, B. I'm going to build a bed, and it's going to be in this guy's bedroom. Oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Okay. Alright, so they're digging out that. Alright, and then on this floor, engraver's working. Okay, let me finish what I was talking about. So if I go over here to this little dump, I can get rid of that by pressing X and capital X. And that means that this space is no longer a dump. By the way, you can also designate individual objects using the K look button simply by hovering over it and pressing D or whatever you want to do with it. So that triggered that gold nugget to get dumped. I don't know why it's not turning pink though. Okay, and then the other thing, probably the more useful thing for you, you don't have to stockpile stone. You can just leave it wherever it is, and people will use it eventually. But, and same with other objects, but what you can do if you're annoyed by it is press DBH, hide item. So watch this. So now they're blue, and now when I get off of that, they're gone. If I press K, I can still see them invisibly with K, first of all. Second of all, if I really want to see them, I press D, B, and H again, and those are hidden. And I will simply toggle them back on. What do we do? Capital H. Toggle them out of being hidden. I would recommend doing that instead of clearing the objects because it takes no dwarf labor to simply hide them. It doesn't affect anything in the game. It just looks nasty. Okay, so those are two of the methods most people use to hide the clutter. Of course, I prefer the slightly more dwarven method of advanced quantum stockpiling. Okay, so that chamber is built out now. Have I gotten migrants yet? No, I have not. Okay. So yeah, we're at 7. I do have my cap turned down to 18 or whatever I set it at. But chances are it's not going to affect the first migrant wave anyway, so not too worried about it.
Spring is upon us.
Okay, spring has arrived. That's good. So we are at... By the way, the game, I guess months 1 through 3 are spring, 4 through 6 are summer, etc. So it's off by about, 3 months or whatever from our calendar. Roughly 3 months. Okay, so let's, it's just saving right now, so it does take a second. Again, it's uploading all of the data that we've processed in the last hour, and that does take a minute with this complex of a game. Fortunately, it shouldn't take too long. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to tell you about what we're going to do with our folks up at the Craft Dwarfs workshop. Craft Dwarfs workshop can be used to transform certain objects such as shell, bone, wood, tusks, I think, into objects. Some of these objects have very, very important functions in the game. Others have no function whatsoever other than to sell. So you can make a lot of money this way, but you can also create some very useful tools. And the first tool we're going to create are wood bolts. Now you can do bone bolts as well, which are a little bit better, but we have so much wood, and we definitely don't want our hunter to run dry. So we will go ahead and create some of those. Yeah. Oh, I see something that I just noticed happened as well. There's a little outlined up ramp towards where it says saving there. That is a remnant of the above ground farm that we're working on right there. I did have a couple more viewers pop in. Okay, so now that it's done saving, so what I meant is that this little thing here, we're working on these above ground farm constructions, and that's coming along nicely. I'm gonna go to the craft dwarfs. Again, this is temporary location for this building. But we're gonna go A, and then you pick what you want to make them out of. So we'll just do wood, like I said, and we're gonna do wood bolts. Just gonna load those up because we have so much wood. And another thing you can do, if you press M, this is the military screen. We'll go over this on a different stream. But you can press F for ammunition, and you can see that the hunters are assigned a certain amount of ammunition. Right now, they're assigned copper bolts. But you can also change that. You can say, you can go to material, and I'm just going to do any material. And that's actually what it was at. If I did Shift M metal, it would be metal bolts. But since I'm doing Shift M any material, it will take wood, copper, bone, whatever. And right now it just has copper because there's only bolts that are in existence right now on this map. What are these? Are these bolts? Yeah, so I can do the same trick. D, B, and C, which is selected by default anyway. And I can go ahead and collect these bolts back if I happen to see them lying around. And that's a good practice in general. That one might not be reclaimable because it's on the edge of the map. The edge of the map is funny in this. The edge of the map has a lot of like different mechanics and characteristics. Did they ever build this little exploratory staircase down here? No, they did not. The game is weird how it processes which tiles to dig first. There's the beach, by the way. I wonder if I shouldn't do something out there. Maybe build a little something or other. Okay, so also we have not yet gotten our migration wave, and that's going to be coming up very soon. Let's check and see where we're at with everything else. Okay, so this worked. That went down to there. Oh, oh, oh. I totally spoke too soon. Oh, that's too bad because that's gold. That's fine. Okay, so there is a double, at least a double layer aquifer here. We know that now because it told us that there's damp stone, and then I pressed D and it shows the damp stone. I'm going to go ahead and get that out of there while we're at it. But given that we have damp stone, we're going to have to change our plans once again. And go like that. And easy enough. Theoretically, I can just do that. And okay, so if I do that, and then I just go like that, that should connect up just fine. However, it might, if there's a third aquifer layer there, and again, the aquifer is pretty clearly right on a straight up and down line, right along here. And actually, yeah, that's the same one. No, actually, it's one tile to the left on this layer, and it's one tile to the right on that layer. So that's interesting. I don't know why it would be a little bit different. Boy, this mason's shop is really fancy now. We'll go ahead and have the mason start working on stuff, I guess. I'm going to just have him... I'm going to do a couple statues, because I like statues. I'm going to do a bunch of coffins as well. And I'm going to do 2 coffers. You can manually select those by using the plus or minus key, or you can memorize hotkeys like I seem to have done mostly. Okay, it's kind of serendipitous that this vein essentially stops before it gets to that line. I think I'll be able to get every single thing on that vein. Aquifers are kind of annoying. What they are infinite water springs present at certain Z levels in this game, and they continually and without interruption expel water from that source tile. And so what you get is you get sort of this flooding machine, and it floods everything, and it can actually ruin your fortress. It certainly can ruin a level and everything below because water flows downhill. There are ways to manage aquifers. You can actually pierce them with a technique. And actually we're, I guess, using a technique to get through this aquifer, and it's called exploiting a biome boundary, I think is what they call it. So we've apparently discovered a boundary with this aquifer starting here and a non-aquifer on this side of it. That means that this might be a biome right over where my cursor is, and then maybe this is a different biome, even though they're similar rock types, you know? So we're exploiting the boundary, biome boundary, by moving to the one where there is no aquifer to pierce through. And then once we get below it, it doesn't matter. We can build under it all we want. It's just when we've got it in play, like we do here. If I were to dig this square, not only would it start to flood this room, of course it would start to come out here, it would eventually come out here, it would definitely go down these stairs until it couldn't go any farther, which means that that entire level would be flooded, that level would be flooded, that, down, and it would flood right up until about there, and then it would finally flow out of that. So it would really just destroy half the fortress until I got it under control. By the way, I'm going to continue building these walls. Now that I have that one floor in place, I can actually build this one. I'll just do orthoclase, the yellow. And then once that wall is built, I'll go ahead and remove the floor and build a wall there as well. Same here. Oh, wait. That's the one I just did, isn't it? Oh, wait. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't do that. Okay. So that's the same plan, and then same plan for this one, except for I'm using, is it diorite, or is that, I think it's going to be the phyllite, actually, would look the best there. Yeah, so I'll do phyllite. Just kind of make it blend in, and that will be allowed to proceed. And then this level is all sorts of messed up. Wall, and we're going to do diorite on that one, because that's right next to, oh, I'm sorry, mica. Do I have any mica? Might not have mica. Nope, I don't. So I'll use diorite. That's fine. Probably look better with the mica, but whatever. Okay, so I'll wait for those to construct. I'll have to do one more little piece of work on each level there. And I'm not sure why, but oh, I think I know why. That's up, down stair, and if it goes down, you'd fall to your death. So what I really need to do is I need to build an up staircase right along here and prevent people from using a down stair. Not that they would, but you know, let's just make sure. So we can build an olive up staircase. I think I did that earlier with the southern section there. And then eventually somebody will come along and dig that out. So while that's going, I guess I can mine this out. I tend to almost always mine the gems, especially early on in the game, because you're going to need it for trading. And we have a lovely, lovely dwarf polka going on here. Okay, they're just mining the gold vein. I'm going to go ahead and suspend that. I keep being ambivalent about whether I want them to mine that out. I'll let them finish mining that out once they mine the much more important areas of the fortress, including the farms. I'm getting a little desperate on my farms. Okay, we are making progress on mining the farm. Okay, so I actually have one of my places where I want to put a farm. So I'm going to press B, P for farm. And I'm expanding it using the U and K, or you can decrease it with H and M. Okay, I'm just going to put it right here. Alright, I'm also going to use a stockpile. We've done stockpiles before, but I'll remind you. I'm going to press F for food. Actually, no, I'm going to press T for custom. And we're going to go to E and B. So I enabled food, but I blocked all food. So I press E to enable, B to block all. Come over here, find seeds, and then I'm going to type in plump helmet spawn. Oops. And we're going to go ahead and select that. So the only thing that can be stored, oops, I think I just screwed that up. I'll just do it after the fact. So I created a random stockpile. Right now it's probably, it's an animal stockpile. Disable animal by pressing D. Scroll down to food, press E to enable it, press B to block all. Scroll down to seeds, go over and press S to search for PLU, find plump helmet, press enter. And escape, and then the other thing is I don't want there to be any barrels, right? Good. So, well, maybe one barrel. So press R to enable one barrel. And that is going to be our plump helmet farm and plump helmet spawn storage. I hate these little wood things, by the way. I destroy them on site if I possibly can. I'm going to press B, W, L. Workshop still. Build workshop still. B, W, L. And place it here. This has been a long time coming. In fact, I'm really kind of pushing the boundary by waiting so long to build that. I'm going to rinse and repeat here. And I'm going to press P, F for food. And I'm going to press Q. And I'm going to press R twice to make, E twice to make it so it can only take one barrel. And I'm going to press S. Press B to block all. Move over. I'm going to go ahead and permit. Press P to permit seeds. So I'm not sure what seeds I'm going to put in this field yet. But this top one is definitely going to be plump helmet, which is why I enabled those in that particular stockpile. It's kind of a picky little thing that I do with that, but it's just how I roll. As you can see, we are digging out this layer with good pace. Ever since I disabled that gold farm. Okay. He's built the bedroom from my mason, so I'm going to go ahead and put a bed in. So B, build bed. And I'm going to go ahead and build H, build container. And I'm going to do a chest there. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to put a BT, build table. I'm sorry, BT, build table. And I'm going to put a table right here. And build C, chair. Put the chair next to the table. And do I have any doors? No, I don't. Okay. So now this mason has a relatively nice setup for his shop. In fact, I could build T and put a table. Yeah, I can put a table. So I can kind of simulate the storefront of this mason. Like if somebody were coming in and buying something. Build T for table there. And C. And you have to select the one, but I only had one extra of each anyway, so I'm really decking out this mason shop. Now what you can do, I can build thrones out of stone as well, and doors. In fact, why don't I build a bunch of doors? There. So that mason will be kept busy, and I kind of like that setup. That's his home and his shop, and in fact, the best thing to do at this point is to go ahead and go over to Q, and R, make bedroom. Assign bed. Now you want to figure out who your mason is. A couple ways to do that. So you press U, and you can just find it this way probably. And if you really want to be sure, pull up Dwarf Therapist and find the guy with masonry, and it's probably going to be this bottom one, Zos, which is the same as that. So yeah, go to the bed, and it's already sized. Assign bed A. Scroll, press plus until you get to Zos, Mason. And then that will automatically give him ownership of that chest as well. And then what we want to do probably, I'm going to make this the dining room for this guy. He doesn't need one, by the way, but I like to designate his ownership. And I'm going to make him the owner of that table, which creates a dining room, not a big deal. But okay, and then I'll wait for the other two to come into play here. Okay, and then I'm going to press Q, go over to the chair, and I'm just going to go ahead and make this his little office, I guess. I need a door. I really need a door. Doors limit how much the make room command radiates out. So he's building a door right now, I believe, if I remember correctly. So now we have like a couple of tables and chairs in the fortress, which is always a good sign. Can I do build D? Don't have the door yet. But he is working on a rock door. The mason tends to take a little longer than the carpenter, but dwarves love his stuff more. Okay, so I do have a stone door that he just made, so I'm going to go ahead and place that there. And some dwarf will come along and put it in place. I cannot believe I haven't had a migration wave yet. Okay, so that door is in place. Now you can change the settings of the door. But essentially now what I can do is I can go Q, R, and designate this entire space now as his, and that will include the walls adjacent to this space. So now everything in front of that door, including upstairs in his bedroom, is his. And he has an office and a dining room and a bedroom, or how they're considered. Now that doesn't mean other dwarves can't come in there. Of course they can, and I like that. But this is going to be my little manufacturing quarter. It may not even be where I do most of mine. I may set up a state, a city, town, consolidated industries somewhere, which is going to be a little bit more productive. But in the meantime, I kind of like this more organic feel of building a guy's bedroom right next to his office. And we'll have a meeting hall somewhere else, so he'll still go out and visit with people and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and make, let's see, what do we need? We need a floodgate, probably. Maybe a grate. Probably a cabinet or two. Maybe a slab, but not yet. Weapon rack and armor. Now let's cancel that. I'll have to do this together. I'll just do a coffin. Okay, because you can almost never have too many coffins. As long as the stone material you're working with, in this case, this guy's going to be using mostly diorite. As long as it's not that valuable, you don't have to worry about overproducing things, generally speaking. Okay, let's go back up and see how our farms are doing. So they're built now, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to plump helmets for this one for sure. Shift, enter that. Should I try a different one? Should I do sweet pods? I'll do sweet pods on this one. Okay, and then this, I'm going to make a generic food stockpile right here. Very big one. And I'm also going to queue, and I'm going to change max barrels from 176. I'm going to make it like 30. We don't even have anywhere near that many barrels free right now. Max bin, I guess I'll put a bin in there. I don't even know if that does anything for food, to be honest. And then if I press S for food, I can also press U and make sure that prepared food is on. That way, if somebody prepares a meal, they'll just take it and put it in that stockpile. Okay, so let's turn on the brewer. So the brewer's ready, and we dealt with these laborers in the beginning of the episode. So if you want to know how to do laborers a little bit better, go back to the beginning of the episode and press B for brew drink from plant, and press R to get that on repeat. I'm going to press B, W, L, and make another still. Stills are so important for dwarves. They drink alcohol to sustain themselves, quite literally. We'll also start to see some plants show up in that stockpile from our herbalist. He's got a gather zone outside where he's gathering, in theory, some little herbs and plants and things. Those are already designated, okay. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is build workshop. I think it's W, yes, farmer's workshop. And then after that, we're going to build Z for kitchen. I'm going to put that up here. Alright, now I'm also going to need about 4 more of these, and then a special one. So I'm going to go ahead and designate these now. Not sure that they need to be dug right this second necessarily, but okay, and then we have a special area, and I'm just going to make it 1, 2, 3 off of, and I'm going to go 4 actually, so I'm going to go like that, oh. And I'm going to go like that, I'm going to go like that, and we go like that. Okay. And I'm going to make a little channel there. Okay. We are coming along on everything, so that's good. What I've done is I've decided to build a butcher up there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to not build it up here. I'm going to build it down south. It is getting pretty far from the staircase, and I think that's not necessary, even though it was kind of fun. So I'm going to get rid of that, and we'll come down here, and we'll build it down here. How about? Just want to make sure you have a little clearance up top. I think if I... what is that? I always see little things and I'm curious. Okay, it's a quarry bush. Okay, that's cool. Those are useful in farming. I don't even know I could grow them down here. Okay, found some more gold. Okay, cool. What I want to do along here is this. These are my food shops, or food workshops, essentially. And then, if I do a little thing coming down like this, I can do more animal storage and whatnot down there. And then, should I build it here? My butcher, should I build it here? Yeah, that'd be a good spot, I think. So what I almost always do is I put a little 1 by 1, and then I build the actual shop. And I tend to make a little exhaust port like this. And then I just H that. I channel that down. So eventually we're going to put a grate there so that people can't get in still. But that will create a good place for the butcher. And then we'll have a tanner right across the hallway from him. There's also going to be a quern and a screw press and a fishery, and I think that might be it. But we will probably investigate those workshops in the next episode. That's our sand pit. Okay, that's just general. Where the hell are... Okay, there they are. So they're working on... Oops. They're working on this level, which is where our connection is going to be. I guess I better probably see if this is a vein, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the vein in place more or less, but kind of want to preserve these walls, I guess. Yeah. I'll let it go from there. Okay. Hopefully they just continue to dig in the easterly direction there. I have no idea why we haven't gotten migrants yet. By the way, if this thing here doesn't work, and I think it will, but if it doesn't, the easy solution is just to go H, like that. Actually, I think that'd be safer. Is that just a floor? No, actually, you know what? It's safe. Because all I'm doing by channeling there is I am removing the floor. And aquifers are weird. They're like a cube. If you know, each little block here is a cube, and they emit water from any side as well as the bottom, but not in a diagonal fashion, as far as I know. So we're gonna go ahead and let that play out. My miners are definitely getting a lot faster, and actually you can see this visualized on Dwarf Therapist. They're both at 8 now, I guess, or at least as of the last time I clicked through, 12 and 13. So they're over halfway to mastery of mining, which is great. Yeah, I'm shocked that the immigrant wave hasn't happened. Maybe it's because I set the population cap so low that they have a different algorithm for doing immigration. I'm kind of okay with that. Like, immigration I thought was really exciting when I first started playing this game, but now it's kind of like, oh, that's something else I have to deal with. It does overall increase the efficiency of your fort, though. Obviously. Okay, I want to do a quantum stockpile for stone. So probably better figure out where that's going to be. Probably here. Okay, so if I want to make this into something cool, I guess I could just start. Yeah. Okay, that's going to be a stone quantum stockpile. What I'm basically doing is I'm building little workshop spaces without regard to the veins that are around them. And that way I know that I'll get the space that I need. While also preserving some of the organic looking veins that I've mined out. So I'm going to create a quantum stockpile here, as well as maybe a mason, a craft dwarf, and what else uses stone? I guess the mechanic. I think I might try to do the metal industry over on this side. That takes up like 6 or 7 of these little spaces. And then I'll probably want to put some finished goods stockpile somewhere as well. Finished goods stockpile, I just tend to do one of these, you know. Same with furniture. Meeting hall. I need a meeting hall. I could build it on this layer as long as I don't run afoul of the cavern there. I'll worry about that later. I'm not too worried about it now. I've only got 7 dwarves, and what's there to meet about, really? Maybe I'll do it on this layer. That could be. This could be the hospital layer too. I'll go ahead and dig up a little tunnel to see if there's anything. Could do it on this level. Go ahead and dig that. And what are they digging there anyway? Is that just is that gold? Yeah, it's still gold. This is the trade depot level, so we actually can build a trade depot finally. So B capital D and diorite. Okay, we'll make, oops, I messed that up. So B capital D, and it takes 3, so I gotta press it 3 times, 3 diorite. Okay, so somebody will come along and build that eventually. Get this cluster there. Whatever. I'm always so conflicted about how much of the wall I want to leave intact. I think on this one I'm going to do just the very corner. Okay. Sometimes I get these inappropriate dig square messages. I think what it just means is that they had a path to dig something, and that maybe somebody else dug something or changed their path a little bit, and so they had to rejigger their thinking on how they were going to get to that space. It's not a nothing you can really do to solve that. Getting quite a bit of gold though. I could begin the metal industry upstairs. I mean, I might as well start making charcoal at least. So what I'll do is I'll press B, E, wood furnace, W. And I'm just going to build it right down here next to our other workshops on the surface. And yeah, we need a stone of some sort. So we'll do the diorite's closest, although the gabbro blocks would work just, let's use the gabbro blocks. Alright, so that's going to start building that. In the meantime, our trees are starting to grow back a little bit, and we probably do need a little bit more wood, although not much. We're doing pretty well on wood, to be honest, but it's just something you can do while you're waiting. Alright, let me go downstairs and see how we're doing on our farm situation. Okay, so we do have those dugouts. Now what we've got to do, this is the funny part, is complete. So we have a little horseshoe channel here. And what we want to do is complete the horseshoe and make it into a circle. And that's going to create a collapse, but that's okay. It's a little bit more efficient. I'm going to also just do this because for some reason, because there's a wall here or whatever, the ramps stayed intact, so I'm going to get rid of those. I'll show you what I do in these little spaces. Okay, so I basically go like this. Press I, in, and I'll create a new pasture. And I'm just going to put all my hens, let's say, in this one, and the rooster. Same with this one. I, and oops, in, and capital N, and I'll just do the turkeys on, oops. Yeah, I'll do the turkeys on this one. Okay. So those will move those animals into their respective pens. Now you can, it's so easy to get like overwhelmed by animals in this game. So I like to visualize how many of each type I have so I know how many to slaughter. But I am keeping the 2 yaks outside for now. I will move them in eventually once I have a bigger pen. They're going to need about a 15 by 15. These are 8 by 8s, and chicken and turkey do not actually graze, so they don't need any particular amount of grass. Or in the case of a cave where you've discovered the caverns, cave moss as well. I'll go ahead and build my other farms. I'm starting to think maybe my adjustment to the migration wave, or to the population cap, has caused me to not get a migration wave, and I am pleasantly surprised, I guess, that it updated without me restarting the game. So I might have to revise my plans to play until I get a migration wave, on account of the fact that I may not get a migration wave. Certainly not anytime soon. I want to stay on this because I want to watch these miners have some fun. Miners are notoriously stupid, as are, you know, everybody in this game, really. And what they do is they tend to destroy their own. Well, they create a situation where they mine something that causes them to be injured and collapse on them, essentially. And they just do that constantly. I gotta think about fortress security now. I wonder about this staircase. I wonder if I should just maybe put a hatch. Or can I do a bridge even? Over that entry? I'm not sure that I could. I'll have to think about that. But I could do some sort of hatch maybe. I don't mind having a small secondary entrance, but really you should absolutely minimize the amount of entrances you have. I'm going to start thinking about... I mean, we do want water, so eventually I'm going to put up some fortifications. And we do want water. Hatch. No? Floor hatch is what I'm looking for, so capital H. And I need a hatch cover, so I guess our mason didn't create that. I think I did a great. I need a hatch cover. Okay, we'll do that. Actually, maybe I should just make 9 of them. H. Okay. While that's going, I'll show you what I do when I need to look something up. Alright, so as you can see here, they have all this stuff unlocked. Whoa, snipes. Okay, that was just a thing. Yeah, I got these weird ads on my thing. Okay, so basically what we see here is the floor hatch, and it's basically a door, but controlling the passage between Z levels instead of along the same Z level. So what this will do, it will add a measure of temporary security. Yeah, so I guess what I want to do here, the floor hatch will give me some security, but it won't give me all the security. And what I probably want to do is I want to do Dwarf Fortress. Well, I'll come back to it. What I probably want to actually do, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. What I want to do is this. It's so much easier to control things horizontally than vertically, at least in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go like this. Okay. And then I'm going to put upstairs here. Okay, so that will create a new entrance here, which I can match with downstairs. Now I'm okay with that so far. And on this one, I'm going to build... Can I build the floor right over that? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to build the floor here. And that's going to block off that one, but it's going to force my dwarves to go to this other one. What in God's name? Oh, I forgot. Okay, so this is great. So what we've done, and you can see there's a little dot in the middle of these ones. That means it's sunken down. If you look on the right, it says open space. So this is just a big open hole now, 5 by 3. But if I go down, essentially I created a 5 by 3 here. And my miner decided it'd be a good idea to stand on it when he mined out the last thing. So what happened is he got injured a little, or I should say slightly, I guess. Oh, this guy's actually sleeping. Okay. No job. So we're gonna find no job here. Here he is. And as you can see on the right, and this is the wound screen, he is unconscious. Now he's a yellow lower right leg. So let me just find that. Wound colors. So I did Dwarf Fortress wound colors. And I'll show you this here. So broken is what we got. So we got bright white is fine, lightly wounded, moderately wounded, broken, mangled, lopped off. Broken is okay, although it is a serious medical condition. And what we got to do to fix that is create a hospital. And I never imagined I'd be playing this long, to be honest, today. So I guess we'll just go ahead and go for it. So first things first, we're going to need a splint and a crutch. Let's go to that carpenter and get a couple of those going. I probably brought a couple. I'm going to create a pipe section while I'm at it too, because I might need that later. Okay, and then while those are being created, let me go back down here. Okay. I'm gonna build workshop T for mechanic, which don't ask me why it's T, but whatever. I'm gonna place that here, because I'm gonna need that. Orthoclase. I'm gonna go back up to the surface now. I'm not gonna be able to get a traction bench, am I? Unless I have a chain. Can I see if I have a chain stocks? Chains. Do I have any chains? I do have one chain. It says it's cave, spider, silk, rope. I think that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to wait for that to build, and I'm going to go back up to the surface. In the meantime, we do need to finish up with our wood furnace, so I'm going to make charcoal up here. Just make a bunch of charcoal. I made an ash as well, but that's okay. Okay, so while those are making charcoals, I'm going to go build E smelter. I'm gonna put this up here as well temporarily. I'm definitely gonna be moving these later, but it's definitely going there for now. And I'm gonna go build workshop F for forge, BWF for forge, and I'm gonna put that right there. Iron anvil, and you need. Why can't it use diorite? Is it because I blocked off? I think it's because I blocked off the entrance there. Give me just a second. I gotta wait for these guys to mine this out. Oh, man. Well, I might as well build the hospital while I'm at it. I'm gonna make a temporary hospital right here. Okay, I don't have any tables, so I'm gonna need a table. So let me have our mason start making tables. We don't need these hatch covers. Okay. And I think I do have coffers as well. But just in case, I'll make a couple of those. And I'll make a hatch cover as well. Okay, so he's going to make some tables. While he's doing that, do I have any beds? I do have beds, okay. So I'm going to make a 2-bed temporary hospital. So I'm going to go 1 here, and 1 here. And I will wait for those tables. And I will build a container. I'm going to put... I need probably 2 containers, to be honest, so let's go back up to the surface, have the carpenter make a container, AH, and I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so he's working on that. I don't even know if we have people assigned to charcoal burning, to be honest. Nope. But this guy is the wood cutter and mason. I'm gonna hold off. I'm not gonna worry too much about the metal industry. But I think what I will do is I think I will... Oh, by the way, you can deconstruct the wagon. I should have done this earlier. Well, no, I'll keep it for now. The wagon kind of serves as a de facto temporary meeting place for your dwarves. So you do want to kind of... keep it up if you don't have a replacement for it, probably. Okay, so we do have the one container there, and I will build a second container here. And table, oops. I don't have the tables yet, okay. But I'm gonna go down to here, my, you know, collaboration room, collaboration area. And okay, he just finished digging out that level. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that's going on. Do have a gold vein there, so I will have to mine that at some point, but we'll get there. Alright, I'll just do that. I get so, like, I constantly am, like, designating things, and it's just a bad habit. So I really don't need to right now. Okay, we did build our trader, but we can't get to him yet because the little pathway towards him is not yet dug out. All of our animals seem to have made it fine. What you can do is you can go build Control N, or I'm sorry, Shift N, capital N. And I don't have any nest boxes, so I can't do that. Never mind. Okay. Well, let's see what happened there. Black Prime. Oh, it's just an inappropriate thing. Okay. I'm surprised the other miner hasn't tried to tackle those other two mining squares yet. How's my guy doing? I guess he's working just fine without his, you know, with his little leg. I guess it's the other guy. It's that's Rith. So if I go to you and go to Imish. Oh, I guess his leg healed. Weird. Okay. So apparently you can just have a broken leg and it just heals. Fine. I'll still make the hospital though, because I'd still like to have one. But I think probably what's going to happen is I'll probably just do that next episode. Yeah, in fact, I really, as much as I was hoping for that migration wave, I really should call it an episode. I really should. Tell you what, when they dig this little square out, right there, that's when I will call it an episode. When they connect up my ramp. In other words, when I finish creating the route into my fortress. The secure route. Oh man, come on miner, you're mining the wrong squares. You're like focused so much on these like not quite as important squares. I need you to mine us out of the fortress for first and foremost. It is so easy to over-designate mining, so sometimes you just want to take a minute and let them finish with what they're doing. And I think that's what I'm going to do for now. It is raining. If this was a haunted biome, this rain could well be turning my people into ghosts or something of that nature. So I'm glad it's not a haunted biome now. Smelter, I could start smelting. I do have galena and gold. Apparently I have galena. I don't remember mining out galena, but whatever. We still have not explored that bottom area there. I can do build workshop U for butcher and put this in. You want to do this at some point because you're going to start getting a excess of certain creatures and you probably want to go ahead and take them out before they get out of control. Getting rid of all these ugly logs in between my walls. I'll replace them with stone walls. Eventually I'll probably replace all of these with stone walls and probably replace the heavily traveled flooring with actual floors like this. And I could do, let's do wood for now. Or I could do cobaltite. Now I'll do wood. Oh wow, I'm actually running a little low on wood. Oh, it's because they're cut off from me. I'll have to wait on that until my miner mines us out. We are mined out of our fortress right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of those, and let's figure out where our miners are. Oh, it's the surface. So we have dwarves locked in and dwarves locked out. It's getting a little bit muddy out there. Where are they digging anyway? Okay, that's done. Is it? No, okay, I have to build up ramp R. So I'm gonna build a ramp here. If you come from the bottom and when you do channels, you have to build the up ramp as you go. So I have to build this up ramp here. Actually here. Yeah, I have to dig that up ramp. Dig up ramp R. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful about it because that's going to connect with the bottom one. If you come from the top, if these guys had come from the top, they would have just channeled it out and left behind the up ramp. So this is a little bit more cumbersome, but it's fine. I'll go ahead and vein mine that. All right. Well, okay, so we do have our first instance of being unable to. Oh, they're finally going for that. Yes. Okay, watch this. Here comes the miner. Okay, hold on. And this is Imush, and he just collapsed it. And we're going to go you, Imush, and he has broken his right hand and is unconscious. Okay. I love that. That's just great. Now, our hospital is not quite ready to go, but I could at least show you how you can build a temporary one. Press I and kind of designate the area you want to put it in, and press H for hospital. All right, and then press B, and I'm going to build tables, and I'm going to go way down here. We're going to build a traction bench. I can only build one, unfortunately, but that's fine. Did they build it? Alright, we'll see what happens. They might tell me I don't have enough materials. I'm going to designate, smooth these columns and make them into something nice. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get rid of the cobaltite and make them orthoclase, so they're pretty. Okay, and then I guess I can do this now because I'm finally free from above. So definitely, I'm mining out all the gold because the gold is worth a fortune, as you would imagine. And I don't think I could mine these as well. Okay. Supposedly there's a way to prioritize your mining a little bit more, but unfortunately I have never found it to be functional. So anyway, we're waiting for the save here. Again, no migrants yet. The migrant algorithm is basically a combination. I think if I can surmise, I think essentially what is going on is that we have a situation where they are giving me a number of migrants based on value of the fortress and also taking into account my population cap. So, in other words, I think it's a multiplication function somewhere in there. So if the population cap is 200, they'll do 200 times, let's say they have a way of approximating the value of your fortress at a certain level. Let's say it's a 1 through 10 scale. And let's say I'm at level 1 only. Okay. Let's say I've made it from level 0 to level 1. And they multiply 1 by 200, and then they divide that total thing by, you know, I don't know, by 10. or by 50, by 20. Yeah, just by 20. Divide that by 20, they would get 10 migrants. I think it's some sort of algorithm like that, you know? So in other words, you take the value of your fortress, you multiply it by the population cap, and then you divide it by the by some constant, I guess. They could also just take that into account with the value figure. But the point is, I think they must multiply that population cap into it, because this is inexplicable that I haven't gotten any migrants yet. And of course, with only 7 dwarves to begin with, it's kind of tricky for them to make babies, as you would imagine. Okay, so we do have that ramp built, which is kind of where I said I'd end the episode. And they will build the other one at some point. Is this functional yet? Okay, actually the little ramp is functional, and that's functional there too. Okay, so what I was going to do is, we'll do some defense stuff next time. I'm going to build a big old gate here that I can close at a moment's notice, and that way the pathing will then, unless they're a gate breaker, which there are a few that do that, we'll have to deal with them. But, and I would consider building walls at some point too, if that was what we were left with. But the ramp now is going to be the main, one of the main methods of gaining access to a fortress. Should probably go ahead and build a floor. I just saw this. Right here. Sure. Okay. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do what I was going to do earlier and build a floor up here. Just kind of remind me that I usually like to cover the areas where my dwarves tend to walk through with floor. So I'm just going to use the coffee wood logs. I have plenty of those. And we'll see how that goes. And I'll just start with that little bit there. I don't want to get my dwarves too outrageously caught up in that. Let me finish the episode by doing a quantum stockpile down below. So much content in this episode, I know, but I really want that quantum stockpile. I love. Actually, I'm going to save it. I am going to save the quantum stockpile for next time. So I'm going to call it an episode. I'm going to build orthoclase walls here, and here, and here, and here. Okay, and I'll have to leave one little gap open for now, but eventually I will close that and build orthoclase walls here as well. Okay, and that's going to be the beginning of starting to make this look nice, and I'm going to go ahead and smooth the rest of it so it looks consistent. Okay, oh, we actually got a yak cow birth. That's good. Those things are useful. We can milk them, we can shear them, I believe. We can certainly slaughter them for meat, which is, you know, nice. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those. Just a little bit of work around the walls here. Okay, so now it looks like a corridor, kind of, you know. Like, I like organic corridors, but I don't like them to be, like, outrageously jagged. I'm gonna leave that one in there. Okay. So, yeah, that's fine. And what I can do on something like this, for example, is I can just do that and continue with the coffee wood wherever I want it to go. Now, you sometimes do want the vegetation because that allows you to do things. Can you build a farm, though? No, well, on this one I can. You can build a farm anyway. I could have built a farm there anyway, so it doesn't affect the farmability of land, but it does make it grazable, which we will talk about next time because we're going to move the calves down here probably. So I suppose I should just move them right about here, shouldn't I? That'll be where the yak cab, whatever it is, go. Actually, maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. For some grazing animals, you do want it to be somewhat large. Okay, so that'll be pretty big. Okay, and did we finish that other one? No, we have not. Okay. Well, I'm going to call it an episode. Thank you for watching. It's been fun. You know, I record these... I mean, I think the first part of the episode was kind of helpful for some people, but I think it probably got lost in the weeds towards the end. I record them more for my own edification, really, honestly. Like, I like to watch myself play video games from years ago, or months ago, or whatever. Just kind of record the experience, essentially, and just remember it later, I guess. Why not? Anyway, I'm going to head out for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on my live stream.